and came in the morning, she heard it running, but maybe it just started. Nobody really made that connection, and rarely did somebody come in on the weekend, and if they were, they weren't paying attention to whether or not there was air going in the school. So this school had been running 24/7, 365 for almost 2 years. And you could pay for your RCM with the savings from that one school. And it was easy to do, simply because we looked at it based on the data. As if something's wrong, and we went right to the energy management system, and it was real easy to figure that one out. One of the things that we've been able to do is to understand how your building is controlled and designed. This is sort of another feature. These are zones. This is Barlow High School. These are the different HVAC zones. This is a classroom area. That's a classroom pod. That's a classroom pod. And each one of those is zoned differently on the energy management system. It's not uncommon for somebody to say, hey, I need a room tonight. I've got a class that's going, and so we say, well, let's put you over here. Somebody else comes in and says, I need a room tonight. Well, let's not interfere with these people. Let's put you down here. Or they do this with summer school as well. And if you're trying to heat, this has a 400 horsepower chiller that you need to cool this place. It's unbelievable also what you need to heat. If you can limit all of your use to one little area of your building, that's just one of the management tools, and you're not doing anything but just managing where people go. You're not turning on and off switches. It's just you're managing where they go. And in our school district, I have the privilege, I think, of the assistant superintendent now comes to me and says, hey, we're getting ready to do our summer schedule. We need to meet with you, and so you can tell us where we need to go in the buildings and how the buildings can be used. That's actually the last couple years. He kind of knows how the different buildings can be used now, so we don't really need to meet like that. But that is the kind of support we have from the top down that I do hear that a lot of other school districts don't get that kind of support from their administration. They say, my superintendent has no clue who I am. I've never met them. The board doesn't know who I am. And that's just another component piece, not only having your administration on board, but just understanding how the building's operated and then agreeing among yourselves that to operate it that way. One of the things I think I can say with a little bit of certainty is once it becomes institutionalized and part of the culture, it becomes less one person's program, and there's more opportunity for it succeeding, because if I go, kind of unfortunately, it'll probably succeed, at least for a while. It's not dependent on me. We've got so many people that have bought into this, like the assistant superintendent who's working out the summer schedules, that if you go to the schools and they say, tell me about your energy management program, you'll hear about it from the principal. They won't say, hey, I have no idea, you have to talk to facilities. And you go into the facility office and, I don't know, you have to talk to so-and-so. You'll hear about our program from people on site, and they may or may not even reference anybody at the district level. This is our building performance plan. I want to talk a little bit more about this in a bit, but this is a partnership with New Energy Technology, which is a company that we've partnered with, help us put together. We actually have building performance plans for all of our schools. They're different for each of the schools. We've talked about when we're going to start up the systems, what time the lights come on, and closing the drapes at certain times, making sure you don't have a lot of coffee makers and microwaves in your classrooms and so forth. And once we sit down with that building administrator, we'll, through a partnership and dialogue, we'll say, okay, would this work for you? Now, if you say only every 5th teacher gets a microwave, good luck getting those out of your classrooms. But if you say, maybe, how about every 5th teacher or every 10th one? Yeah, I think I can do that. Then they sign on to this document, and it sort of becomes the building behavior cast in stone. That's some of the things that we've talked about. We'll talk about the school scheduling, winterization, how the building is cleaned. That might be as simple as, some of your schools might even be doing this today. It was not uncommon to leave all the lights on in the building, and the custodian would only shut the lights off when they cleaned the room. That way they knew the room was cleaned. That is still a common practice in a lot of places. Just talking with them about that. Hey, why don't you figure out another way to do that? Let's turn off all the lights at 4 o'clock. Only turn on the lights in the room when you're cleaning it. And like I said at the outset, a lot of this sounds like common sense, but a lot of our facilities have developed behaviors and unintended institutional practices that haven't been very energy savings friendly, and nobody's asked them to look at and evaluate those behaviors. Okay, what you just saw, and I don't do well with that screen, so I'm going to show you this one. This is a technology. It says leveraging technology. One of the technologies we have in our building is DDC controls. Another one that we've taken advantage of from PGE is interval meters. How many of you are familiar with those? Not a lot. I met with Rick Durst with PGE a couple days ago, and for some reason he said he has a heck of a time getting people convinced to use this technology. And I said, let me go on the circuit for you. Because what it does is it hooks up to your main meter. We have only one of these at the main meter at each school. Costs $25 a month for that. And then another $25 for us to take that data and put it into this form right here, to get it in, to graph it, to have that interface so that it's meaningful to us. So each site, each meter is about $50 or $60 a month. And you think, man, do I want to pay for that? Can I ask my board, or can I ask my administration, can I convince them that this is a worthwhile thing to do? I could give you so much anecdotal evidence as to why it's a good reason to do that, but here's just one. Gordon Russell, the minute we went on to the interval meters at this school, we noticed, and I'm sorry this shakes, I don't know if that's me or the light, I hope it's the light, but we noticed that when we tail off at night, it goes off here, and when it comes back on, it immediately goes to here. This is the new year, this was the old year right here. So it goes off, the red is where it's going off each night, and then the next morning it creeps up and then automatically has a really flat line right there, and we thought that looked like, to us, that was a schedule. So we went through all the schedules in the building and couldn't find a schedule that had anything coming on at midnight. So we looked at some other features of the software, and this particular control system has a feature called Optimum Start. Optimum Start is a feature that you tell the software, look, I want the building warm at 7 o'clock. I don't care how you get there, you do it, you figure out when you need to come on, I'm going to let you do it because I don't want to mess with it. And so the software then uses an algorithm, and maybe the first day you do, when you set up, you say, I'll try 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and see if that works. Boy, that didn't work. And it keeps working back. This particular school, it worked clear back till midnight, where it decided some zone, we don't know where it was, but that particular zone needed to be energized at midnight in order for it to meet its goal. We said, heck with that. And it was just a checkbox, just a checkbox. We went into that software, unchecked the box, and saved $3,000 doing that. Because had we would not have caught this off of the bill. First of all, because it was happening, you get your bills 45 days. You really are looking at your data up to 45 days after the energy use. There's just no way, and this school was saving so much money, it never would have occurred to us to look and see if it could save more. It was just doing a very good job. But once this came online, we saw that. The other thing we noticed is this little chunk over here. We meant to shut the building off at 4 o'clock. For some reason, it had been shutting off at 5 o'clock. Those of you who are familiar with DDC controls know how easy that can happen. Because what you can do, DDC controls